Oh, got it. All right. Well, let's get going.
Okay.
I am so excited. You are the first one of our How's the Weather in OLLI shorts. Um, we are from OLLI at the University of South Dakota. We're located right now, we're coming to you from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is in the very southeast part of the state. We also have branches in Brookings and Vermilion, and we do quite a bit of things on Zoom. So we are happy to have you joining us. I would like to tell everybody here, feel free to share these links for all of our OLLI shorts this month. We would love to have you and your friends join us as an OLLI member if you aren't already. So feel free to share those during the month of February. All of these OLLI shorts are free, and we're happy to have you here. We will have some questions to ask Carol, and we'll have some Q&A at the end. We will end by 1 o'clock. And I also want to make sure that we thank the University of South Dakota and the South Dakota Humanities Council for a grant that helped us do these programs this month. So first of all, welcome, Carol.
Welcome. And I know where you are. I recall a really, really good bakery that I went to there in the early 90s.
Oh, interesting. I wonder which one it was. Maybe Josiah's?
I don't know. I just driving across the country and there was this incredible bakery and I told people about it for like years afterwards.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, tell us if we're going to start with our questions right away.
Okay.
How's the weather in Hawaii?
It is 72 degrees. On my weather thing here, it's 72 degrees. Well, you can't see this. Sunny, 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 no clouds, no clouds, no clouds. It's going up to 79, which actually is pretty hot for now.
Wow. Wow.
So totally blue sky.
As you can guess, we're pretty jealous. Today is 22 degrees right now, and we're going to get up to a high of 26. We have had a really mild winter here, so we feel a little bit lucky, but yeah, we all are wishing we were more warmer right now.
You know, I know how cold 26 is. I used to live in Edmonton, and 26 Fahrenheit is pretty cold. I was used to the Canadian temperature, and I used to tell people -5 is the best temperature because things don't melt. 26 is kind of close to -5.
Yeah,
so I understand you're cold.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. That's good. That's good. Tell us, well, you're on the island of Oahu, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And your OLLI is with the University of Hawaii?
Yeah, the University of Hawaii at Manoa. There's a couple different branches, but that's what we are. Yeah.
Excellent. So tell me, what do most people think about where you live that they get all wrong?
That we're all on vacation. They think we're all on vacation.
I can imagine that.
And if people come visit us, they think we can be on vacation.
Sure.
You know, also, I hate to like burst bubbles, but people are shocked to come here and find that there's a city with lots of traffic.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You have to, there's an airport there too. You have to land and drive.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. What do you think your area of Hawaii is most known for?
Oh gosh. You know, when I was thinking Honolulu, and I was thinking and Hawaii, we're most known for beaches. But I actually live in Kaimuki, which, I mean, we're all officially in Honolulu, but Kaimuki is like a little town, little area.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because I can actually walk to what's sort of like a little downtown. And you could eat in a different restaurant every day for a month. There's tons of little restaurants. There's lots of coffee shops. So I think Kaimuki is known for livability and lack of tourists. That's something that we like.
That's actually one of my questions. Where do you go to get away from tourism?
Luckily, my very favorite beach. A lot of people will stop at this overlook and they'll look down at the ocean and they'll see a path, but they're generally like, oh, I'm not walking down that path. And we're just so grateful for that because the best beach in Hawaii is down that path. And okay, what's wonderful about it is there aren't any tourists there. It's mostly surfers and dog walkers. I've taken several classes there on field trips, OLLI classes, to do. I used to be a climate person. I do landscape history and what you see here and what the sea level did, and also how to find really good beach glass and that sort of thing. So that's what I do. I go there. Sometimes I haven't been able to do it for a while. I go with a book, a novel, and I call it my novel therapy. So,
Nice. That sounds amazing to all of us. How many native Hawaiian speakers are there? Is the language still used? And is it taught as part of school's curriculum there?
that's a really interesting question. I don't know how many. I was here for one semester in 1979, and things have turned around so much since then. There was a huge thing of Native Hawaiians saying, this is our language and this is important. And now at the university, there's an entire college that is devoted to all of that. I know that there are many, many schools now where you can do Hawaiian immersion in the schools. And so lots of kids, not just Native Hawaiians, but other people who live here can take Hawaiian. There's a Hawaiian radio station that speaks, they speak in Hawaiian, but it's not common. It's specific and, special to certain things. And, here's the thing that's interesting that people don't get that's wrong. When you go to Texas and you live in Texas, you're a Texan, but when you live in Hawaii, you're a local. You're somebody who lives in Hawaii. You're not Hawaiian unless you're Hawaiian.
Wow. Interesting. That really is. We talk a lot in our state about history and education, and especially of our Native people. So it's interesting to hear what other states do as well. After tourism, what is your #1 industry?
Sorry, I'm muting. My assistant's calling me. I didn't tell her I'm doing this, so I just keep hanging up.
I understand.
Tourism basically is everything here. There used to be sugarcane and there used to be other things. I would say that #2 industry is real estate, which is also related to tourism. It's the hotel industry. Everything is tourism.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not
It's
as much anymore?
No. And the pineapples are gone too. I was on Maui in 2015, and they were burning a sugarcane field, which is a thing that you do as part of the process. And I found out months later that that was one of the last ones. And I was just so happy I had seen that. I love to read local historical novels about Hawaii and understand things better. And sugarcane was just so important. And there used to be these big pineapple fields in the middle of Oahu, and they're all gone too. It's like they can't compete with other countries who do those things in other places. And every single thing that comes here comes on a barge. So that's why everything's so expensive. And
Wow.
Basically, okay, this is a really unsustainable place and we're doing really badly.
Oh. That's
When you asked, you have another question on the list, which was
what do people do after they retire?
here. Yeah. Okay. And I was going to say, they take OLLI classes, but an awful lot of them end up moving back after they realize it's too expensive and unsustainable, or their kids have grandchildren and they end up being like, this is too far away. And they end up moving back. But there are, some of my, a lot of, obviously, our people are retired, and big chunk of them spend a lot of their time hiking. That's what I know.
That's a great hobby to have.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go on vacation, where would you go?
That's interesting.
Do you fly, is it easier to fly to somewhere else in the Pacific? Is it easier to fly to Japan? Is it better to go to LA? Where do you go?
I know a lot of people here love to go to Las Vegas, not me. And Oh gosh, we're having an emergency where she can't find a link. You're not recording this or anything, are you?
It is being recorded, but that's
Okay. I'm just going to ignore for another minute. Okay. What a lot of people in Hawaii do is they go to other parts of Hawaii. So for example, in July, I went to Kauai to visit my son. And a lot of people say that's where people go to see the real Hawaii, or different parts of Hawaii Island. A lot of people here go to Las Vegas. Oh, a lot of people go cold places. They like to go skiing. A lot of people go to Disneyland.
Oh, sure.
Or was it Disneyland or Disney World that's in California?
Land.
Yeah. So they do that. I know people go to Montana, like go to Cowboy Ranch kinds of things.
Excellent. That's really interesting too, because I had a friend who lived in Hawaii, was stationed on the Air Force base there, or maybe Army base. I can't remember. It was military. And he grew up in the Midwest and the big ranch areas. And he said it was hard a lot of times to only be able to drive in a big circle. He couldn't go somewhere.
Right. When you first come here, you feel like I just want to get in a car and drive, and there's like nowhere to drive.
Right. Wow.
Because it's tiny.
Do you have a local newspaper, or what kind of news media do you have there?
We have the Star Advertiser, which is the local paper. It's not terrific, but it is a local paper. I know a lot of places the local papers have just like totally disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, there's local news stations. I get most of my news online, and there is another like new little newspaper that is, I'm trying to text Minia at the same time that I'm talking to you guys, that it's really good. They do like investigative reporting instead of just, here, this is wonderful kind of stuff. Like how come so-and-so was able to build things on his beach where nobody else can build things on their beach, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How is the military culture there? Is it a strong part of the islands, or do you not see as much of it anymore?
Well, we're very aware that the military is a part of everything here. And it depends on the part of Oahu you're on. Like I'm sort of like the southeast part of the island.
Okay.
And over the west side of the island is like, well, there's Pearl Harbor, Hickam, and Schofield, and a bunch of bases over there. And there's also like a huge mass of the people that are military people who live off base that are over there. And that's why I think it's become more mainlandized. They have a lot of mainland restaurants and things over there that I think are all part of the military thing. Like Red Robin, all those kind of chain kind of things. There's a lot of that over there. So they've definitely like impacted that way. And there's another, and I guess that's Army stuff. And there's another big military presence over towards the east, towards Kaneohe, that I guess is Marines. So helicopters fly over. But some people complain about, oh God, there's a huge awful thing happening right now with the Navy. I don't know if it's made the news over there, but for years, people have been complaining about these fuel tanks that everybody's worried are going to cause trouble. And the Navy's like, don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. Anyway, so there's the potential that these fuel tanks are going to contaminate 80% of Oahu's water supply.
Wow.
So right now, people aren't happy with the Navy, but you know what I think is important? People do not at all feel negative towards people who are in the military. They're unhappy with the leadership. Like people value the individuals. And I taught at UH Manoa a while back, and I also taught at KCC, Kapiolani Community College, and we had a lot of military students in there. And and my family was all in the military, but they're like hardworking, organized people. If you're going to be taking classes and in the military, so anyway, people there aren't bad feelings between individuals,
Mhm.
but there's like, what do you mean, Secretary of the Navy?
Wow.
So the governor is like telling this Navy guy, we need for you to do something. And he's saying, no, I don't think we have to because it's a federal thing. And we're saying, no, you have to do something. So, but yeah, so there's, they're definitely, definitely a big presence. And I think they affect different parts of the island differently.
Fascinating. Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting thing for us to relate to. We do have one military base here in South Dakota, but it's on the other side of the state. Other than some planes flying over, once in a while, we don't see much of it. So it's interesting to hear your perspective on that too. Those are the questions I had for you today, but I would like to open it up to our guests if they can ask you some questions. And
Could
I
I
guess,
also respond to somebody put in the chat box? Somebody
yes,
put a chat box question. Like
yes.
one person says their friends affected by the water, and
Mhm.
somebody else said they visited Hawaii but never came here because they felt it had become much like the mainland and they really enjoyed the other islands. I'd say yeah. And if you're going to come here, if you go to Maui, don't go to Lahaina. Go to the rest of Maui. Or maybe the people there wouldn't want me to say that. But anyway, yeah.
That's good insider advice. I like it. All right, I am going to go to gallery view here and find out what our visitors, what our members here and our guests are thinking. Does anyone have any questions? Please feel free to unmute and ask Carol your questions.
Do you ever get to see Magnum PI being filmed?
It happens all the time. I don't like the new Magnum. I'm spoiled because I like the old Magnum, right? Nobody could replace Tom Selleck. One time 2 years ago, we all got these notices that they were going to close down our street to film. But for our trouble, we all got a $50 gift certificate to Foodland, which is a local grocery store. And that happens. And there's Magnum PI and there's some other show that are sort of done by the same company. Anyway, that happens quite a lot. And they really like this street out here because it's I love old stuff. Okay. And it's like this house was built in the 30s and basically hasn't been repaired since then. But if you go stand out on my street, if you look that direction, you can see the back of Palolo Valley, you can see big mountains. But if you look in this direction, you see Diamond Head. And so there's old 1930s type houses and trees, and they like to use this street for different kinds of scenes of people going in and out of houses that they're not actually really going in and out of. Although the front house lady, like there's a whole bunch of things here, I'm at the back. She has rented her house to Magnum a couple times, and they've gone off and been put up in a hotel for a week while they use that house. So yes.
I have a couple of questions. I came in just a little bit late, so you might have answered one of them, but I just heard you talking about the language, and I'm wondering what is different about the Hawaiian language versus English, or is it closer to Japanese, or what is the Hawaiian language? And then also, if somebody wanted to visit real Hawaii, quote unquote, which island would you go to?
Hawaiians came here, they're Polynesians, and their language is a lot like Tahitian. And like if you hear the word taboo, a lot of people are familiar with the word taboo. That's how Tahitians would say it. In Hawaiian, it's kapu. It's like anyway, so it's closely related to Tahitian and other Polynesian languages. And when the missionaries came here and ruined all kinds of things the way missionaries do, one of the few good things they did is they started writing things down. It wasn't written down back then, and it's difficult. It's like all vowels, and a lot of the words sound very, very much the same. And when I first came here in 79, I was mispronouncing words. And I really feel you have to respect the place that you're in and the people that you're in. And people will say, well, it doesn't matter if I say Cappy Olani. And I said, yeah, but would you like it if somebody said you lived in Chicago? You know, like just learn how to say the word and say it properly. So in English, people are used to breaking a syllable on a consonant. And one of the examples I give is when I was here in 79, there's a place and I'd say, okay, we're going to, I'm trying to remember how to say it wrong. Something Monolo or something, but you don't say M-A-N, it's ma, breaks the syllable, then the next one starts, you know, so that's like Kapi'olani Boulevard, why ma nalo, you know, so you have to learn to say things differently that way. I don't speak any Hawaiian, you know, there's just occasional words that I know, and there's things that people say here all the time, mahalos, thank you, aloha's, whatever, malama the aina, take care. And, you know, I'm going to tell you a word in Hawaiian that I love, well, two words I love, and they pertain to OLLI in our age group. One is kapuna, and kapuna is such a more respectful phrase for older people than simply elders or seniors. We honor and revere and respect the kapuna. We take care of the kapuna. We malama the kapuna. And the other one is kuleana. You might have heard of kuleana. And some people explain kuleana as being my responsibility, but it's my responsibility and privilege. My kuleana is to be the director of OLLI. It's my responsibility and privilege to malama this organization and the people. So I really like some of the words, they're deeper, you know.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful. Thank you.
How do you say Hawaii properly?
You know, there's a number of ways to say it. Hawaii, 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 Hawaii. They're all, you know, we got somebody to teach Hawaiian for us this summer and everybody was so excited and they wanted him to stay, but he's a teacher at Punahou. So during the year, he can't teach Hawaiian. And I sat in on a couple of them and it was like, no, I don't have room in my brain for this. Well, I don't have time to sit in on anything, but a lot of the islands have very particular ways of being said, but a lot of them you can say two different ways. Okay, here's a couple insider tips. No one likes it when people refer to the Big Island. The Big Island and the Valley Island, those are words that tourist people came up with decades ago for marketing. And the people who live on Hawaii Island prefer for it to be called Hawaii Island. So Hawaii can be said different ways. Kauai can be said Kauai or, well, no, Kauai. Molokai can be called Molokai or Molokai. Ni'ihau is Ni'ihau. Lanai can be Lanai or Lanai. So according to the people who officially say how to say it.
It's awesome. Any other questions? We've got a couple minutes left. Anybody have any burning questions?
This is Benda.
Hi, Benda.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been to Maui a couple times, and this isn't really a question. I guess it just refers back to something that you said about going to a beach where there weren't tourists. I found it so sad because I think the indigenous people are stuck with tourist type jobs on their island, and all these people like me come and visit and disrupt the island. You know, I guess I always left sad because of the natives, and some of them had 2 or 3 jobs just to make it because the island's gotten so expensive because of the tourists, you know.
Okay,
So-
let me say one thing hopeful and one thing depressing, okay? So there's been a whole lot of effort to provide more enriching experiences for tourists. so that, you know, like, I know I'm dismissively talking about tourists, and some of you might be tourists, and I try to never go into Waikiki. And Waikiki is like Disneyland. You know, when you go to Disneyland and everything's manicured and perfect, except for the parts of Waikiki that are awful, and sometimes people get attacked, right? But other parts of Hawaii, everybody's trying to say, come and have a real experience. You know, we have a real luau, not that kind of luau. Come over here and work in a loi'i and help us plant taro or something. And they're trying to have these more sort of transformative cultural kinds of experiences for people, or come and volunteer and do this and this and this. The other thing about the income part of it is nobody can afford to live here, and everybody has multiple jobs. And for a while, my son was like upset about, you know, he's living with his mom, and it's like, no one can live alone here. There are multiple multi-generational households. And just yesterday, where is that magazine? Okay, this is Honolulu Magazine. And what the picture on the cover is, the rising cost of paradise. And lots of people, the sad thing is how many people have to leave here. You know, Hawaiians, native Hawaiians living in Las Vegas. Lots of people who retire, when they're here, they retire, they take their retirement and they go to North Carolina where they can buy an entire farm. The place I'm renting, it's a falling apart 1930 2-bedroom cottage. And it costs me $1,800 a month, and that doesn't include utilities and water and everything else. And this is the cheapest thing around. Like, the landlord has not raised my rent for a while. If I tried to go somewhere else, it would be $2,500. Okay, and there's just me making money, right? So all kinds of people have to leave, and it's getting even worse. And so anybody who's in the tourist, most people in the tourist industry have more than one job. You know how people battle for, this is so depressing. I'm sorry we're talking about depressing things, but this is Hawaii. Okay, there was people trying to make $15 an hour. People here, the union that represents, I forget, you know, the hotel workers and other people, their thing was one job. Wouldn't it be great if we could survive on one job instead of multiple jobs? So, you know, the place you come and visit when you're visiting is different than the place that we're living in. You know, I've lived here on and off from, I mean, I was here in 79, and then I was here in the early 2000s, then came back in 2014. And it's routine that you buy groceries at Costco and Sam's Club. And, you know, if my sons would want certain things, you only buy ice cream on sale. You only buy such and such on sale. Because everything is just extra expensive here. And one of our instructors used to live here for a while, and she's in New Hampshire. And I have this little food class on Thursday mornings. And she was talking about these navel oranges, and a new way she found to pick out navel oranges so that you get a good one. Because, you know, these oranges cost her $1 each. And I said, wait, you think that's expensive? Anyway, so, you know, it's all perspective. When I go see family in Virginia, I just love seeing the cost of stuff in the grocery store. Although I try to get most of my produce at farmers markets.
Is it so expensive because everything has to be brought over by boat?
Exactly. And so I do try to buy all my produce locally. You know, the little things that I can, you know, like I recycle and reuse everything. There's a farmer's market. 2 years ago, my doctor told me I have to walk. And so now I walk to the farmer's market on Saturdays. So I buy all local produce because that's not coming in from somewhere else. But
Wow. Well,
I don't want to be such a downer. And the time's
No.
probably up.
this is so
Okay.
interesting. I
Okay,
can
I gotta say something hopeful. Every morning, okay, there's a phrase, lucky we live Hawaii. Every morning, I go outside and I see the blue skies, and I see my neighbor Tom's papaya trees, and I walk past the mango tree on the way to the street, and there's banana trees on this other street, and I see the skies, and I see Diamond Head. And it's like, oh, lucky I live Hawaii. Can't go to the beach every day, but
Fantastic.
So-
That's on a happy note.
yes.
So much for joining us, and thank
Okay.
you everyone for coming here to our OLLI Shorts in the month of February. Remember, we're here every day this month except the 21st, which is President's Day. Same time, same place, different topics every day. Thank you so much, Carol, and everyone have a great day, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow.
Mahalo, Melanie.